What's up, guys? Keyshawn Uchida here, back at you with another new Alternate Universe video. Now, this is going to be an idea that I kind of thought for a while, and I was contemplating if I should do it or not do it. But after, clearly watching a lot of books and understanding what is a jester, I wanted to really do it. And this is going to be what if Deku was a jester? Well, not just a jester, the god of jesters. Well, you could say the god jester. Now, what is this going to be about? Well, basically, I'm going to set down the ground rules and what's basically going to happen. Um, this is going to be 18 plus. Also, well, maybe more. This will also Deku will be an anti-hero, so he's not going to be a hero or like a villain. He's going to be an anti-hero, kind of looking like the bad guy, but actually is the hero who knows it all and knows how to do this. And also, another thing, uh, the backstory, his whole thing is going to be altered. So yeah. Other than that, let's get this started. So we start off with pretty much Deku. Deku pretty much be born at the same thing as original as he's growing up as a kid. This is where the doctor says he doesn't have a quirk, and this will heartbreak Deku. But instead of being, heartbreaking and, sad about not having a quirk, he thinks about other things. He knows that other people like himself doesn't have a quirk. So instead of him being down and mopey about it, he starts to become a jester at his early age. Starts doing little tricks, little funny things, making people laugh, you know, making people laugh and stuff, saying, here's the jester here, which everybody calls Deku, Jester Deku, or or DJ, or you could say JD or Jekyll as Jester Deku. Pretty much Deku makes the girls laugh or also make other kids laugh, including sick kids. He goes to hospital, see cancer patient kids, and this is a young age Deku, so this is like a kid Deku who's like doing jester stuff, and Inko drives him there to the hospital to cheer up other kids, and Deku pretty much sees the cancer patients, and he gets sad every time he sees one goes and dies, but he um pretty much continues doing the jokes and giggles and all that. But this is where one time, as Deku's doing a joke, this is one of the cancer patient kids talks to Deku, and he pretty much asks Deku the question, "What is after this?" when he dies, which Deku doesn't know the question about it, but he pretty much says that he might go to heaven. I don't know. He doesn't really know. Which this is the kid pretty much says that he's scared. Which Deku talks to the kid as a kid, and pretty much explains to him that everything's gonna be alright. He's going to be in a better place than this. Which the kid pretty much is relieved and pretty much is smiling at Deku and tells Deku to never give up on his dream of what he wanted to be and stuff. Which Deku be more motivated now, but he also does some other stuff now because this is where a change event will alter Deku. We're gonna say one time this is gonna be like a 10-year-old Deku. This 10-year-old Deku is pretty much doing little jokes and he goes outside of public until he sees a villain attack happens. Now, this is where, as all the villain attack happens, this is where people are getting hurt. Some people get killed because this villain is like a nut job villain. So he's killing people, pretty much just doing absolutely worse, which this is where Deku is caught in the crossfire, and pretty much this is where Deku gets captured by the villain. Now, as that's happening, this is where pretty much Deku is getting held up by the villain, and the villain's pretty much holding Deku and saying that he's going to kill this kid, which he pretty much have like sharp lava nails. So this is where pretty much Deku is getting holed up. Now, as that's happening, this is where the villain's pretty much saying that he's going to kill this kid if they don't give him this much, which all the heroes can't do anything because they don't have the right quirk requirements to pretty much handle that villain. And this is where Deku sees someone in the distance, and he recognized the hair color, and he knows it's All Might, and saying All Might's here, which pretty much he's excited that All Might's going to save him. But this is where he sees a rolled up body that's like, sick and wrinkling. And he knows it's All Might, but he's wondering why All Might looks like that. Because, like I said, Deku was smart. I should have told y'all, Deku was really smart. Like, he does his studying, he does psychology, like, he does a lot of stuff. He also does deep research into religion and stuff. So he also, you could say he's pretty intelligent, ahead of his age, you could say. But pretty much, this is where Deku is getting holed up, and All Might is pretty much looking down, and he pretty much just turns away and pretty much starts walking away and saying he can't do anything about this. Which, this is where Deku sees the turn of events and saying, "What is happening? Why is he leaving? Why is he not turning his buff form? What is happening?" Which Deku is thinking of this multiple times. This is where Deku gets pissed off, and he's getting furious, saying, and he pretty much yells out saying, "What the hell are y'all heroes doing? Ain't y'all the heroes? Ain't y'all supposed to save me? Ain't y'all supposed to work together?" Which none of the heroes don't say anything, and they keep quiet. Which this is where the villain sees this whole scenario not working for him. He pretty much says, "Fine, if you don't give me the money, then I'll just kill this kid." And which pretty much he pushed Deku, in which Deku accidentally turns, and the villain does a slash down on Deku's chest, pretty much giving him a scar on his chest, which Deku coughs up blood and hits the ground, pretty much out, which the heroes are trying to get Deku and try to get him and stuff and get him to the hospital, which they're trying to stop the villain, but the villain gets out of there. Now, this is where Deku is in the hospital and he's in a comatose state, which this villain had two quirks, which is poison and also lava. So, due to the heat burn and the poison combination, pretty much fucked up Deku and put him in a coma. As Deku's in a coma, pretty much in a vegetative state, brain dead, you could say, because they couldn't do anything and the medicine was just killing Deku. This is where Deku's soul ends up into a different place. Well, my soul ends up to a different place. And this is where he ends up into this land where a bunch of jesters are at. Which Deku's confused and looking around saying, "What the hell is this place?" As he's looking, this is where he sees these two jesters. And they're pretty much on a rock. And it's like a beach set rock and stuff. And there's a castle. Basically. And he just sees all the stuff. This is where he sees the two jesters and he's saying, what is this place? Which the two jesters looks at Deku and pretty much begins to start clapping and saying, "Huh, a new person here." Which one jumps with great height speed and land in front of Deku, which Deku freaks out a little bit, pretty much startled, which the jester in white is pretty much saying, "Don't scare him," which pretty much the other jester saying, "What are you talking about? I'm not going to scare him. I'm going to welcome him here to this land. Regularly, people who is a jester don't end up here. But, you're here for a great purpose. I wonder why." Which, as the jester is pretty much talking to Deku about it, this is where the other jester in white appears right behind the jester in red, pretty much saying, "I can see he's a jester too. Let's bring him to the kingdom, to the king. Maybe the king might know who he is." Which, this is where Deku goes with them because he doesn't know where he's at, and pretty much starts going with them. And as he's going with them, this is where he pretty much sees a whole kingdom around him, and he sees many other people, regular people, wearing like unique clothes and stuff. Some people are wearing masks, and some other people are not wearing a mask, and it's like a party. See, it's like a whole party city in the castle. Like it's like you could say it's a party unique, and the whole sky is unique with like symbols of like marks and stuff of ancient marks in the sky. Um, Basically, people were cheering on, partying, doing a lot of things. You could say also doing a lot of sex, orgies and sex and stuff, which Deku is looking at. But pretty much, this is also where Deku is also going, and he sees a great intelligent man, which the man looks at him and pretty much does a nod with his hat, which Deku waves with a smile, and pretty much he continues going. Now, as they reach in the castle, this is where the two jesters says, "O king, O jester king, our new prisoner, a new visitor has arrived. Which pretty much this is where the jester king, the king jester appears, and he pretty much, well, not well, you could say the king jester, but also the god jester, but they call him king jester for short. He pretty much appears, and he pretty much lays like this, saying, "Who might this person be?" Which, as he looks sad, which Deku is looking at him, and he says, "He looks sad." Which this is where the king jester saying, "If you wonder why I'm sad, I'm sad because I haven't had quite a good meal quite a while." Which Deku's thinking and saying, not a good meal for a while. Which, as the Jester King is talking, he's pretty much saying, "But I am the Jester King." Which this is where he jumps down and pretty much introduces himself to Deku. Which Deku introduces himself as, being polite and pretty much introduces himself saying his name is Deku. But many people in his world called him Jester Deku. Which the King Jester saying, so you was a jester. What kind of jester was you? Which Deku explains that he was a jester that made people laugh and stuff and all that. But this is where Deku clenches his fist in anger, saying, all that changed till those damn heroes wasn't doing their job. And I looked up to them too. I wanted to become a hero, maybe a jester hero, to make people laugh but also save the day. Which this is where the King Jester looks at him and sees Deku rage feeling and stuff and says, "Why so serious? Never take stuff serious. That is one thing from a jester, from another. Never take stuff serious. And always still throw on the show and continue." Which, as that's happening, he tells Deku that if a jester gets too serious, then they start losing the battle and let their emotions get aside and they start to die or fail. Which this is where Deku understands the King Jester, and pretty much the King Jester welcomes him in and shows him around and shows him this whole place. Now, in this place, the time zone is different because this whole area is like the whole kingdom and stuff. They're basically in, you could say, a unique world where only jesters, people who was the jester, or people who loved the jesters and stuff, are pretty much there. And they wear masks and some don't. And basically, intelligent inquisitors, they were jesters, and you could say scholars, all that. But pretty much that's there, and Deku's there with them. Now, let's switch to Deku World. Deku, pretty much, there are going to be two different time zones. So, in that world, the time flows differently. But in Deku's world, time is flowing differently there. So, Deku body will be growing, but it's going to be basically in that world. But Deku, in the other world, basically going to be different. But let's continue. This is where Deku pretty much is pretty much yeah, cooking a meal for the King Jester. The Jester King pretty much eats it, and he smiles and says, "Wow, this is actually a good meal. What is this?" Which Deku pretty much says that it's teriyaki, which Deku knows how to cook teriyaki. He's a good cook. And pretty much this is where the King Jester says, teriyaki, I like it. Which this is where they create a good bond. But this is where Deku pretty much sees other jesters training, also doing techniques, doing daggers, using soft, disappearing, basically doing magic and stuff, and other stuff as well, like potions, like alchemists, jesters. And this is where Deku asks, what are they doing? Which pretty much the King Jester sees that Deku has interest in it, and pretty much asks Deku what he likes to learn this stuff, which Deku doesn't know how to get back to his world, agree to. And this is where Deku begins to do his training. Now, Deku will begin to start doing his training as learning how to do illusions, how to do illusions, how to make unique potions, cocktails, also healing potions. He's basically learning how to also play guitar by the two jesters, which he's learning how to do. Yeah, learning how to play the guitar, the little singing guitar, and play the flute with the two jesters. Basically, he's getting training by all unique jesters. And he also learned how to throw daggers, use the bow, how to assassinate, how to non-assassinate, how to capacitate people, how to paralyze. He basically knowing how to do killing techniques and non-killing techniques and stuff, and also magic. and also know how to do magic tricks and stuff, and also deadly magic tricks and other stuff. But as that's happening, this is where Deku is pretty much, as his body growing in the other world, he began to grow too. So yeah, but pretty much this is where Deku is a little bit more older, and the jesters are pretty much fond of Deku, and this is what Deku would look like. His hair would be a little bit black and green, but this would be his outfit, you could say. But this is where Deku is pretty much much older, and as he's a little bit older, due to the effect of the world, so he's gonna be a little bit more taller than anyone else. But yeah, this is basically him. But pretty much this is where Deku is pretty much talking to the King Jester, or the Jester King, and he's pretty much talking to him saying, ah, which the pretty much King Jester is saying, Deku, which Deku looks at him and says, yeah. Which as he's talking to Deku, he's pretty much explaining to Deku that he knows how to send him back to his world, but before he sends it back to his world, he wants to ask Deku, will he become the next God Jester? Which Deku looks at him and says, God Jester, which he pretty much saying, yeah, would you accept? Which, as Deku's thinking about it, he's saying, let me think. And he's pretty much, thinking and turning, spinning around. He's pretty much saying, And this is where the Jester, the King, you could say Jester King, pretty much says, well, people really want you to become the next God Jester, and would you do it? Which Deku says, well, if it's everybody, I guess. Which pretty much the King Jester says, alright. And he pretty much taps Deku on the forehead, and Deku pretty much says, what's with the tap on the forehead? Which he says to transfer the power to you. But let me send you back to your home. Remember, don't be so serious. Don't take everything serious. And don't be a serious person. Always have fun and throw a party and stuff. And always have a showtime. Which Deku gets sent back to his world, you could say. Now, as he gets sent back to his world, this is where Deku's body is getting changed and altered. But also, he's also getting physical muscle and stuff and all that. And also his appearance is changing differently. Now, as that's happening, this is where Deku opens up his eyes and he begins, and this is nighttime, so no one doesn't know that, everybody's like in the hospital, but it's like nighttime, so everybody's like all in their thing doing other stuff. But this is where Deku gets up and he begins to start um looking around, and he pretty much snaps his finger and he puts on his clothes. And these are going to be the clothes he puts on. And he pretty much starts heading out saying, let me see. What should I do? Which, this is where Deku is thinking. But this is as he's walking. He sees a couple of robbers robbing a convenience store. And they're pretty much robbing the guy saying, put the money in the bag and stuff and all that. Which, this is where Deku looks and says, well, what is going on here? Which, this is where the one of the robbers point the gun at Deku. Which Deku raises up his hand and say, whoa, don't shoot. Can't you see I don't have any guns or anything or any weapons? And plus, which Deku pulls out glasses that says, you want to shoot a guy with glasses, would you? Which the robber's saying, shut up and get in here. Which Deku's saying, alright. Now, this is where, as the guys are robbing the guy, this is where one of the other robbers has a gun to Deku. And Deku pretty much saying, is that really a shotgun? Which the guy's saying, you want to find out? Which pretty much this is where Deku says, well, go ahead, shoot. Which pretty much as the robber guy shoots, he shoots out confetti, which as he shoots out confetti, he says, what the? This is where Deku jumps, and pretty much kicks the first robber with the shotgun in the face, knocking him out. And pretty much he sees the other robber, which the other robber shoots at him with bullets. And Deku pretty much just looks at the bullets and he begins to dodge them left and right, say, ooh, ah, ee. And he's pretty much saying, that was close. Oh, make sure to look behind you, which the robber looks behind him, and he looks, and then he turns back around, which Deku says, made you look. It pretty much bats him down with a bat and knocked him out, which, as the as the store owner looks at Deku with shock, this is where Deku says, are you okay? Which As the store owner says, yeah, he's okay, which this is where Deku says, glad to hear it, which this is where Deku leaves. But before Deku leaves, this is where Deku grabs a snack and says, can I grab this? Grab this? Which the store owner says, go ahead. And pretty much Deku just goes off eating it. Now, as he's eating it, he's pretty much walking home, and and as he's walking home to his house that he remembers where it was at, he pretty much sees the house is like up for sale, and pretty much he goes in there to try to see where's his mom, which the house is completely empty, and he's trying to figure out where's his mom look at stuff, and this is where he begins to try to get his phone, but he forgot that his phone was in his room before he went into hospital. He's like sitting down saying, "This is gonna be frustrating." And this is where Deku pretty much just walks out the house and just starts saying, "Well, where the hell am I supposed to sleep now?" Before he can think about it, this is where he sees Bakugo house and he begins to walk to Bakugo, saying, "Hmm, maybe I can go. Maybe I can go stay at Bakugo's house until I can figure out where's my mom at." Which this is where he goes at Bakugo's house and knocks on the door. Now, as he knocks on the door, this is where Bakugo's mom says, "Who is it?" Which Deku looks and says, "Ah, yeah. Can I Well, he pretty much just introduces himself and says that he's pretty much Deku, which Bakugo's mom already know that this is Deku, and pretty much says, "Oh my God, Deku," and pretty much bring Deku in the house and asks if he's okay and stuff. Which Deku asks the question, "Where's his mom?" and stuff and all that. Which this is where she explains that after Deku went in the hospital and was pretty much in a comatose state, and brain dead, Inko pretty much uh couldn't bear it and was too heartbroken. She pretty much sold up the house to pay for your bills and stuff to keep you alive to see if you can ever, get out of it. This is where Deku understands what's happening, and he pretty much thanks Bakugo's mom for telling him the information and asks where's Bakugo, which uh she pretty much explains that after Deku was in the hospital, this is where Bakugo had a change of heart and mind, which this is where she explains that Bakugo begins to start studying, training, his quirk and stuff, and this going extra hard to be motivated to become the number one hero because of Deku, which Deku smiles and says, and pretty much gets up and thanks her for letting him know. Which this is where she asks Deku where's he gonna go, which Deku says he figure out some way or how. Which as she's pretty much saying okay, and pretty much he tells her to pretty much contact his mom to let her know that he's out of the hospital and he's going to call her soon. Which this is where Bakugo's mom says okay, and Deku's pretty much leave. Now, as Deku's pretty much leaving, this is where Deku pretty much creates money. Well, pretty much grabs a piece of paper and pretty much turn it into money. Like let's say like 10,000 yen. Yeah, 10,000 yen. I mean 10,000. Yeah, you could say dollars. Well, yeah. But pretty much this is where Deku goes to a hotel and he pays it up to cash front and pretty much he begins to start heading in his room that he gets the key. But this is where he hears yelling and he hears a woman getting pretty much abused by a guy, which she's saying she won't call the cops and she would be quiet, which the guy's saying it's too late for that now. And which pretty much Deku knocks on the door and the guy says, "Who the hell is it?" And this is where Deku punches him in his face. Now, as he punched the guy in the face, he says, "Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind?" Which Deku kicks him in the face and pretty much steps on his face and asks the girl if she's okay. He heard a party happening and he just didn't like the sound of the party, which this is where she's pretty much saying she's okay. And pretty much Deku asks, has this guy was trying to do anything to you? Which as she's looking down, she begins to start crying, saying he was about to kill her and rape her. Which Deku begins to smile and says, so you was gonna do that? Which the guy says, no, she's alive, which Deku kicks in his face another time, knocking him out. This is where Deku pretty much tells the hotel person that this guy was about to do a crime, which pretty much they get the cops, and the cops pretty much arrest the guy and takes him away. Which the woman begins to start uh, telling the cops what happened and stuff. This is where Deku pretty much disappears, and the woman couldn't find the Deku to pretty much thank him. But Deku's pretty much in the hotel room, laying in the bed, and pretty much just saying, "Huh, look like this is gonna be a long." Well, he's pretty much saying this is gonna be a long year, you could say. Now, this is part one of What If Deku Was a Jester, the God Jester. If you like, get this up to 20 likes, and I'll do another part. But I'm Keyshawn Chia. Thanks for watching, and peace out.
It looks like you lost another one.